And hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday Night Live with Alan and Greg and our special guest star, Brian from Bookish.
Hey guys,
Tejas in the
everybody.
house. Tejas. We're speaking Spanish a lot tonight, so
Well, I'm gonna be in big trouble then.
I'm going to be in real big trouble.
yeah.
I took like 3 years of Spanish on Duolingo, and I can read some, but if I hear real Spanish people talking,
Oh yeah.
it just goes in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
Like listening to Irish people talk. But I like to say Tejas. Yeah, with the J in there. But yeah, have you ever been to Houston, Greg?
No, I have. I can tell you, unless we're going to say hello to Jim Reads Too Slow. Hello.
Hey, Jim.
Here's Zelda.
Hi, Zelda.
Oh, she hit her face now. There she is. Come over here.
No, Alan,
I knew she would come in.
I have never been to Houston, but I did go to Dallas Fort Worth in the early 2000s because my wife works for GSA, and she had a conference out in Dallas Fort Worth for a whole week. And on a Friday, I just flew out, joined her for the weekend.
Well, that's cool, but
We were sort of thinking of moving out there at the time. And the housing prices out in that area at the time were like $250 would buy you a big house. It was just.
I've only been to Houston a couple times. Like in one time, it was I stayed over for like 4 hours. But going to Houston, you might as well be going to LA. It's huge.
It is, and
It's a big place.
And the houses that we saw, they were brand new construction, and I said I think about $250,000 for like a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. And we went into the bathroom, and they had one of those showers which you could fit a party in the shower. In the shower drain was a spider about that big.
Oh wow!
Just a wolf spider.
Just a wolf spider, but you know.
Yeah, Texas. It takes like 3 days to drive through it. Yep.
Okay.
Don't mess with Texas.
It would have been a very different lifestyle if we had moved down there.
I think you made the right choice.
Well, I've never been to
Virginia's
Austin either.
nicer.
Austin is. Yeah, that's the shite. Everybody's moving to Austin.
That's the problem.
Joe Rogan, all these comedians,
Yeah.
all these famous people.
So, Brian, are you Houston area?
I live between Houston and Galveston.
Okay, Houston and Galveston. All right. I just don't know that geography of Texas.
Oh well, there's about 30 miles between Houston and Galveston, and I'm about right in the middle of that distance down I-45.
Galveston, oh Galveston.
That's a great song.
Okay.
Hell yeah, Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was thinking about books about Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just one of the things I was thinking about, and I can only really think a couple that come to mind. Well, a couple, 3 or 4. Larry McMurtry comes to mind.
Yeah.
And he did Lonesome Dove and
Streets of Laredo.
he did the one in the 50s.
Last Picture Show.
Picture. Was it the Last Picture Show?
He wrote the Last Picture Show. I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
Yes, it was, because they had the movie theater that shut down.
Yeah. I think that's a better movie than it is a book, and I hardly ever say that. So, and I like the book, but it's a great movie.
Because that's the one we did at Ollie's Criminal. He did as his birth year. book.
Oh, okay.
It picked that as a birth year book, and we read that earlier in the year.
I see.
But anything else that represent Texas really well?
Fiction wise?
Well, yeah, the new author, Brian, she did that. Like, is it a trilogy about? It's a murder. You know that author? She's a black female.
Oh, yeah. Shoot, what is her name?
I read the first one.
Just left my mind.
Me too.
Yeah, I think she's only published 2 of those books so far, but they're good, and they're actually set in the part of Texas where I grew up in East Texas. It doesn't. The books don't make that part of Texas look very nice, or at least the people don't look very nice there. So,
We have MJ.
hey MJ.
Hey, MJ.
Fox Folios. Texas is nearly 3 times bigger than the UK.
Hey Allie, how are you?
Duncan McCurdy. Hello.
Oh yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I forgot about that. Good job,
How
Allie.
did you forget?
I'm not sure that's accurate representation.
Oh man. And I think Kinky Friedman writes a lot about Texas.
He did. He had a detective series. I never have read any of them, but
I love Kinky Friedman. I did like a video series about him because I recently read some more Kinky Friedman and the Texas Jew Boys.
Yep, that's right. Hang on a second.
Oh yeah.
So we got Medium John Silver. My Time in Texas.
Oh, the author you're thinking of is Attica Locke. That's the
in Dallas Fort
Texas.
Worth Airport. Yeah,
I spent the night at the Dallas Fort Worth Airport once.
it's all right. I mean, I flew into there that one time, but
Yeah, I say this all the time. They never turn the announcements off. So those announcements about not taking packages from strangers and stuff, 24 hours a day. I was trying to sleep at 3:30, and those things would go off like every 5 minutes. So
I've slept in a few airports myself, in Detroit and in Portland, and waiting for flights. Tallahassee Airport, slept there. Oh,
yeah,
it sucks sleeping in airports.
it does.
it really does. But okay, a little
But
more about.
I'm sorry, the Attica Locke books, they're about a black Texas Ranger who solves crimes oftentimes related to racist organizations in the South, but he's kind of ethically compromised. They're really good. The first one is called, it's about a bluebird. And the second one's called Heaven My Home. They're really good detective stories, and you get a kind of a feel for East Texas in them. So I really like them.
Are they current? Or are they?
She's still writing the series, so I think Heaven My Home came out not last year, but year before last.
Yeah, and the main character is a black detective.
He's a Texas Ranger, yeah.
Ranger, yeah.
Bad as Rad is here. Hello.
Hey, Jessica.
Yeah, it's she's. Yeah, you're not too late. We're just sort of getting started, talking a little about Texas.
Tejas.
So I know you were talking to Alan a bit about immigration earlier.
I did, yes.
I don't know if you want to get in because I just happened to have started reading a book today for my in life book group, and it's a book I did not have any vocal, voice in choosing, but it's American Dirt.
Oh yeah,
by Janine Cummings.
I was just at a bookstore today, and I saw a paperback copy of that today.
Huh.
I haven't read it.
Well, it comes with a bit of a controversy.
That's true.
For people who don't know, is that when the publishers bought it, they expected it to be a huge bestseller. And then it came out that I think she's originally Cuban, the author of Cuban descent, and not Mexican descent.
maybe one of her parents.
Maybe.
Yeah. There was some question about that. Yeah.
And that it came up with the whole idea that she was not able to write about Mexican immigrants because she was not one of them.
That was part of it. Yes. That was part of it. I think there was also a lot of Hispanic writers questioned whether or not she'd done the research she should have done. They thought her portrayals were, not accurate. And then an author whose last name is Urrea basically said she lifted a whole scene from one of his books, but that really wasn't that's a Hoover. Yeah. So that was part of it too.
I never heard about that plagiarism.
Well, it wasn't like a word for word, but it was more about so I haven't read the book, but if you get to a part where like a truck or something runs over a little kid, then I think that this author says that, he essentially wrote that in his memoir of being a kid who crossed the border. And then she more or less just lifted the scene from him, not necessarily the wording or the language itself.
I don't know. I've been to El Paso several times in the past, like 20 years ago and everything. And it used to be a really pristine, clean city. Cowboys, Mexican cowboys. But this where they it's a checkpoint. The dogs get on the Greyhound bus and sniff around and you got to check, and it's a checkpoint. But so I spent like a few hours there. I was really impressed. But now it seems like it literally means the pass, right?
Yeah.
El Paso is the Rio Grande. And people are walking up here from Venezuela, walking.
Yes.
To get here. And I criticized Biden about this too. I mean, I think we're all Democrats in the room, but he needs to take some criticism about that.
Well, it's a big mess, and it goes back more than one president. So yes, Biden too.
True.
I think Biden is just. I think he's trying not to do something that would cost him votes next time around, and that's almost always the wrong thing to do.
It is. I mean, because the idea about immigrants is that the United States has always had an issue with immigrants. Doesn't matter where it's from. Now, if you go back to 2016, do you remember when Trump was going Norwegians? We want more immigrants from Norway.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really kind of funny because I just so happened to be reading the book My Aunt Tania by Willa Cather at the time. And there was a main part of that plot was the criticism of immigrants. And you know where the immigrants they hated the most in that book were from? Norway.
Yeah.
And
wow.
It just goes to show is that there are people who really, I'm not sure if they're totally biased against South Americans or they're just biased against someone that they're trying to find some other group that they. And
well, it's usually brown people. We're not complaining about the immigration from Canada or anything.
It's because not that many people from Canada want to come here.
If I were Canadian, I would not really want to come here, but
Where's Shannon? Speak her name 3 times. Maybe she'll show up. Shannon.
Okay. Shannon. I was going to say something now. I can't remember what it was. Old age.
I'm right there with you. But no, I just find that interesting. I mean, there's all these stories of immigrants from all over. Another good one about immigrant is the novel Call It Sleep by Henry Roth.
I haven't read that one, but I meant to a long, long time ago, and it just keeps being one of those books I don't get to.
And that's about the Jewish immigrants in the 30s. And that, again, is very powerful. And it just goes to show that no matter what age you are, someone's going to complain about who's moving in to our country.
That's true. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Americans see everything is kind of a zero-sum game. So meaning that if somebody else gets something, that means they have to lose something.
Right.
Rather than looking at the fact that, historical fact that immigration has always exponentially benefited the United States. And rather than being a zero-sum thing, it actually is something that benefits the nation as a whole. Then yes, that explains the xenophobia directed at the Irish in the 1840s, the Germans in the 1830s, the Italians from 1870 to 1920, and so on. So, yeah, to me, the anti-immigrant xenophobia isn't new. It's always going to focus on whoever the largest ethnically appearing group happens to be.
That's a good point. It's a really good point. You bring up the Irish need not apply thing, and
yes.
Oh yeah, man.
Ali,
America.
I'm sorry, I was reading Ali's comment, Foxfolio's comment. I think that's true too.
Are we coming up to the next one?
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I was jumping ahead.
No problem. Yeah, the comment was trying to validate her understanding of the experience of illegal immigration undocumented, because her husband, who was white Irish, plus the whole
there you go.
advance.
Right. There was also a big money. Thank you, Ali. That's absolutely right. There's also a huge money thing. She got so much money, and I know that caused resentment from a lot of authors whose felt their stories were more authentic, and because they were brown authors, that they didn't get the same kind of consideration that she did. And then there was some tacky, promotional stuff with barbed wire fences and stuff like that I know a lot of people got. Rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
All I can say is I'm chapter 4 or so, and I'm finding it seems more like she's watched a whole lot of Hollywood movies on the subject.
I think that's what I heard that too. Again, I haven't read it, but that's one of the things that I think she got criticized for. So I think you're right on with that.
And so we'll see how I'm going to give the book a read because it's for my book group. But
actually, I think now is the time to read something like that, where the controversies kind of died down. And I think I'm not suggesting she was treated unfairly, but I think you're more likely to give the book a fair shake now than readers did who read it right when it came out. I think a lot of people bought it and read it just to go, see, this woman's terrible and this is a bad book. Which she still got paid, so.
She did get paid. Bandy's book. Caitlin came in. Here she says, I grew up 15 minutes border from Tijuana, San Diego. Immigrants make our community stronger. American Dirt. I think there's a lot of immigrants writing better books.
I think that was a point that was made at the time too. So yes. I agree with that.
I lived in San Diego for 3 years, taking the trolleys all around, and I would kind of come to after working, and there'd be a bunch of Mexican cowboys and women with babies, and I'd be going, shit, I got on the wrong train again. Or the trolley. They have red trolleys in San Diego. I love San Diego.
Just to echo a comment about immigrants making the community stronger. My father was an immigrant.
Right.
He came. Right. I mentioned before, he was born in 1923 in Paris, France, but he was Jewish, and he happened not to be in France that month in 1940.
Wow.
So obviously he got out, didn't want to go back. But still, yeah, it's just, it amazes me how some people are just so biased and they don't realize that how many people are actually immigrant families.
Yeah, I'm third generation Irish. My grandfather came over on the boat.
Oh, Bandy is going. The Book of Rosie is good if you want more of the family separation at the border.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have not read a whole lot about fiction on the border. There is a very good nonfiction book. Hold on for a second. For anyone who really wants to dive into a subject about the border, this is William T. Volman's nonfiction account of border crossings. And it's 1,000 pages. It's 1,000 pages.
Bowman, yeah.
But he does an incredible deep dive on border life. It's really an amazing book.
That's good recommendation, Greg.
Thank
You just got to set aside some time to read it.
Right. I still want to read, what is it? Fathers and Crows?
Fathers and Crows. Have you ever read William Volman, Brian?
Just Horse for
No.
Gloria.
I have not.
Back in the day.
His books are really long, right?
Yeah.
Most of them are really long. He's got a couple really short
And
ones.
they're hard.
Well, his big fictional project is The Seven Dreams,
Uh-huh.
which is stories about Europeans encountering Native American Indians, and the story of what happens when those two cultures clash. And I saw him live, and to quote him directly, the Indians get fucked every time it happens.
Oh, I'm sorry to laugh.
That's true.
I mean,
You know,
you laugh, but it's not really that funny when you think about it.
I live in a Native American community, man. You know, it's around me every day. Yep.
Hey, Courtney's in. I
Oh,
missed
hey.
I missed her howdy going through
Hey,
it all.
Courtney.
Howdy seems appropriate.
Yep, I'm turning Courtney on to William James. We're
Myron
digging
James.
through that.
No.
So
Yeah, William
I-
James. I'm definitely out on that.
you're what?
I said if it was William James, I'm definitely out on that.
You
Yeah,
know,
brother. He
The
and brother
variety-
Henry, not high on my list.
the variety of religious experiences.
Ugh.
I haven't, but
I read a
Oh, well,
biography of William James that I like.
I meant Marlon James, of course, but
There you go.
yeah.
There's a big difference between Marlon James and
William James.
yeah.
I guess at least a century's
True.
worth, probably. So.
Yeah. And different races and
Hey, did Alan?
yeah,
did you read
William
that?
James.
Did you read that second Marlon James book in that Black Leopard Red
I
Wolf
did.
series? What,
I did. It's like called Witch Woman, Spider King.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Didn't like it as much.
Yeah. I thought one of those was enough. I'm gonna go back and try to pick up a Brief History of Seven Killings at some point, but I don't think I'm gonna.
Yeah,
go on
that's a
with
great
that.
one.
It's on my
Okay.
shelf back there somewhere. You can see it right there. I really like that one. I have not read the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's the middle of a trilogy, I'm sort of waiting for the trilogy to be finished.
Yeah, this is a really great one by Marlon James.
Yeah.
It's about Bob Marley in Jamaica. But if you read like Marlon James, he's got the same kind of flavor. You know, he uses the same words and phrases. You know, it's all set in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
World building mythology, African, Jamaican mythology, but I like him a lot.
Yeah.
He's very violent, very violent.
Yeah.
So,
well,
you know,
Black Leopard, Red Wolf was definitely really, really violent.
His new one is on the Book2 Prize nomination list.
Really?
Did you get?
I'm only doing nonfiction, so I didn't get the fiction list.
I got the fiction, and I'm kind of hoping no one votes for it, because if it gets voted for, I not only have to read that book, I have to read the other book first, because I don't think I can pick up in the middle.
Yeah, I don't. Alan could tell you better than I did. I like Black Leopard, Red Wolf. I didn't love it, but I liked it. But I did not want to go on. Probably good thing I didn't choose to sign up for fiction. So
there's some interesting choices on both of them. I signed up for both. There's some interesting choices on, and as I understand it, he bases it on reviews. You know, which ones get the best reviews?
Oh, you mean the way he decides what gets on there?
Yeah,
you get to. I think so. I think he just comes up with this big list of books that came out, and maybe it's how they're reviewed, and then we get to vote on them. And so I think that might be what he does.
I think so, but there were a lot of memoirs in nonfiction.
I don't really like memoirs.
Yeah, me too. I'm waiting for Polina. How do you pronounce it? Perskovich. Her memoir. I'm waiting for that to the library.
Yeah. Well, I struggle with memoirs a lot of the time, so I kind of liked. Greg, didn't you read Dave Grohl's?
No,
memoir?
but that's yeah. Thank you, Brian. You recommended that. That came up in my Libby.
Yeah.
So,
I thought, Greg, I thought you were the one who'd read.
Which one?
Dave Grohl's The Storyteller.
No.
Okay, sorry.
Someone just came up with The Storyteller.
Yeah, I talked about it. I talked about it on Saturday, but I can't remember who had.
No, you're the one who talked about The Storyteller.
Just a little bit in my Saturday video, but somebody had talked about it before then, and they didn't like it, and I liked it a lot more. But I think my expectations were pretty low. And this is going to sound terrible, but you know, he's a rock and roll musician, and he did, you know, a whole lot of drugs. He knew a whole lot of people, and his story is not particularly linear. So it kind of jumps around, and you find out all kinds of stuff. But I really thought it was entertaining, because I like stories about rock bands and rock musicians and musicians in general sometimes. So
yeah, so I have the Audible on that, so I'll listen to that this week coming up.
Yeah, I found it to be really kind of addictive, particularly when he was talking about his actual career. His childhood stuff I didn't think was that interesting, but
yeah,
it was kind of funny stuff.
Yeah. I like the whole story of that, Nirvana, and I like the Foo Fighters, and
yeah, he was really. I was surprised at how. I guess not surprised. I guess I was impressed at how reserved he was in talking about Kurt Cobain, and how there's actually not all that much in there about Nirvana. You could kind of tell he
glossed over, huh?
He didn't gloss over it so much as just he didn't want to tread on that territory, almost like it was too painful for him.
Oh,
so I mean, it's in there. He talks about it, but that's where kind of his narrative breaks down. It starts to break down because he doesn't, you know, he's talking about them being on the road when Smells Like Teen Spirit comes out, and how that affected their fan base and what their concerts were like. And then all of a sudden they've gone their separate ways. And then all of a sudden, you know, Kurt Cobain's dead. And there were other albums in there. You know what I'm saying? There's an album or two after that. So there's not a lot of detail about his time there. And really then it's just kind of about specific kind of funny stories about people he met, or touring with Foo Fighters. And
Yeah, I know
hanging out with his drummer. Who was the drummer who committed suicide last
Hawking.
year? Yeah,
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 yeah. That little guy that pissed me off. And death is going around. You want to talk about death and Jeff Beck, Lisa Marie. I just found out about her like yesterday. I'm going,
yeah.
WTF?
Yeah.
That really affected me to hear that.
I really did like Dave Grohl's. I think it's worth a listen. I wouldn't probably buy it, but the way Alan and I are consuming it, where you get it on Libby from the library, I wouldn't buy it just because it's not a book I would keep. So probably for long, but I did really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there Joe Walsh memoir I want to read? There's a new Jim Morrison one I want to read, or new meaning like maybe 2-3 years old.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
You see, I don't read a lot of memoir, especially what you consider like celebrity memoirs.
Me either, but but the Libby app is really kind of changing my reading habits, because I just go on there and scroll to see what's available right now, and they'll go, oh, I can read or listen to that right now. And I don't have to wait. I don't have to pay any money, and it's kind of addictive now. So. And
then if Libby doesn't have it, then I have to go to Audible.
I don't do Audible. I'm just too cheap.
And I see, I've been an Audible member since 20 years, going on 15 years, 16 years. So I've got I have a huge collection of audiobooks in my account.
Yeah, I use Audible for the big books because I like to read along. I'll use it for War and Peace, and what else? For William Gaddis, we're doing the recognitions, so I'll use Audible for that. Libby doesn't have it for free, so.
Libby's not going to have the recognitions because the recognitions is an Audible only recording, and there's something about their licensing, which I don't think they send them to libraries on the Audible only.
That's fine. It's I don't do the yearly thing like you, Greg, but so that would be like $15. So it's fine.
Oh, Jim reads too slow. LibriVox. I get books from LibriVox too.
I love LibriVox.
I just did.
If you get a good narrator, it's excellent.
Some of them are just as good as the professional narrators you get.
Yeah.
But sometimes when they have like 12 different people and each one reads like one chapter, that gets to be a bit much. But
I don't think they do that much anymore.
I'm sure they don't do it as much, but every once in a while I'm listening to what was that? I can't remember what I was listening to, where it seemed like every other chapter it was somebody new. That was
their early days. They were struggling for volunteers, and they distributed out. But now most of them are single narrations.
Well, that's good. I've really enjoyed the last two I listened to. What was it? I listened to Ethan Frome on LibriVox, which was great. Elizabeth Klett was the reader, and she's one of my favorite people who you find on LibriVox. And then, what was the other one I listened to? Oh, I listened to Saracine, the Balzac novella, and it had one reader. It was a man, I can't remember his name. It was really good. And you're right; they're just as good as the ones you have to pay for if you catch the right reader.
If you get, some of them you listen to, say, I don't think I'm going to continue with this.
When they sound like me, that's when I go, I'm not listening to that character.
Well, that's
I'm not listening to that hillbilly.
I could do it, but I don't think I'd want to listen to a whole book that I narrate. It's very hard to read accurately.
It is.
The biggest one I did Allen Ginsberg's Howl. And that's a long ass poem.
Yeah.
It is.
and I did it in one sitting. So
I like his. My favorite Ginsberg would probably be. I met Walt Whitman in the grocery store poem. You know that one?
yeah, I know that one.
I don't. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's just him envisioning Walt Whitman in a grocery store.
Can you imagine?
Can I imagine Walt Whitman, or can I imagine Ginsberg imagining Walt Whitman?
In the grocery store, yeah. Where by the cantaloupes. Yeah.
Of course, Walt Whitman would be by the cantaloupes.
That's a good one. I should read that one of my Thursdays. It's not a long one.
Well, now it's on. I'm going to beat you. I'll do it before you do.
Okay.
Give me a challenge.
All right. So, Alan, what else? You had a lot of questions for Brian when you were voxering me earlier today.
Well, what about this? About what are we drinking? Like, what's in my cup, Brian?
I'm guessing you have Jameson in your cup.
No, just American beer.
Ah, okay. I'm just drinking water. Actual water.
For a change, I just have sweet tea.
Oh, geez, we're all kind of semi-sober. Wow. But Brian, I was talking about Little Wayne. And like, what's in my cup? And what'd you say?
I think that we were talking about Purple Drank.
Purple Drank. Yeah, it's like
Which is it's like codeine cough syrup mixed with grape Kool-Aid or something like that.
Oh, that's
what's in my cup.
It is not. I've never had Purple Drank myself because, well,
I remember back in the day
I'm
they
not
had
a Houston area rapper, so or Lil Wayne.
They had it was called Turpin Hydrate. It was a codeine. You had to sign for it at the pharmacist.
Mm-hmm.
It was a codeine, like cough medicine.
Yeah.
And you'd have to sign for it. It was like a big deal. But as a kid, we were going, oh, the Purple Hydrate. Turpin Hydrate, I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. You guys want to talk about marriage?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. You both are married.
Yes.
Long time.
Beautiful women. I'm 59, never been married. That explains a lot, you know.
But
It keeps your life grounded.
That's a good way of saying it. Yes.
You know,
Yes.
Who knows where my life would have spiraled out if I hadn't had a wife who liked to move. And you think about paying to move, but you move and you sell a home and you make money. Then you move again and sell a home, make money. All of a sudden you say, well, wait a second. I moved a lot, but we've actually done very well in property.
It sounds like Chris is your true better half, Greg. Chris.
Probably so.
Definitely
Brian,
true for me.
Well, yeah, it's your college sweetheart?
High school.
Or high school sweetheart, yeah.
Yep.
I have a twin flame I keep going back to. Molly is a tattoo of her. But I've known her since third grade, and we
That's a long
hooked
time.
up in high school, and we went to different colleges, and then we hooked up in the 5th year reunion, and then we lost touch 30 years. Then we hooked up again. And I went back for to Toledo for 3-4 years, and
Are you using hooked up in the modern sense of hooked up? Are you telling us more than you mean to tell us, or do you just mean you got back together?
got back together.
Just wanted to check, how personal we were getting here with the whole.
Yeah, I mean, but she's a multi-millionaire property owner. I really messed up last time, but we're still in contact. So,
Alan, sometimes
What?
you're like you have choices, and your life just can go in two different ways. When I met my wife, I was sort of seeing another girl at the time, not really, but she was a Czechoslovakian immigrant who was here on a visa. And she would have married me in a second because would have given her the opportunity to stay in the United States. But I made the right choice.
I think you did, Greg.
I did, but it's just one choice or another. You go one way.
I met Chris, and I really liked her. She's really cool. Very cool.
Oh, here's Jessica. Oh, wait a second. Jessica was talking something about didn't Coke have cocaine in it back in the day? Yes, it did, as I remember.
What was that?
That Coke had cocaine in it.
Like Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Oh, hell yeah.
As I remember, it used to be over the counter.
Yeah, everything used to be on over the counter before about 1923. You could buy. Matter of fact, like the Bayer Aspirin Company sold hits of heroin that you could snort, and it came in a tiny bottle, and there was literally a straw in the top, so that
kidding.
So that because there was no regulation really of any of those things. So
it's amazing because I just read for the Gothic group. We read a book, Confessions of an English Opium Eater. Yeah, which is not really Gothic, but it influenced a lot of Gothic writers down the road. And it was talking about you just walked into the pharmacist and bought your opium, and then there was another one more modern, talking about, like I said, pre-1923, where you could buy all this heroin for free, and not for free, but you could buy it over the counter. Yeah, and what happened is that at least to this author, they started cracking down on drug use because they wanted to crack down on race issues. It really had a racial origin in the drug use.
Well, there was a lot of opium addiction issues were blamed on Asian immigrants who operated opium dens, and they claimed these Asian immigrants were involved in what people referred to as white slavery, where they were addicting women to opium and kidnapping them and then selling them into prostitution. Stop me if this gets, we've come full circle on the immigration conversation now, back to, because people say the same things, unfortunately, about immigrants today. So there was that. And then a lot of housewives got addicted to laudanum around the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century, because there were still kind of the patent medicine thing, and you could put anything in a patent medicine. So they were like large amounts of alcohol, and then laudanum, which I believe is opium distilled in alcohol. Anyway, so women would they'd go to the doctor and they'd say, "Oh, I have a pain," and the doctor would say, "Take this," and it would have laudanum in it, and they'd just go home and take it every time they felt bad. And pretty soon, mom doesn't come downstairs anymore because she's upstairs, in an opium haze all the time.
Gene O'Neill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wilkie Collins was a laudanum addict.
It was really not that. uncommon. I think a lot of people, you hear about, like in today's world, when you read the Sherlock Holmes story and he's clearly a cocaine addict, everybody's shocked. Oh my God, Holmes was a cocaine addict way back in the 19th century. It was just not unusual that people, used and were addicted to those drugs back then. We just think that, every generation, I guess, thinks it invents these things, but not true at all in this case.
Right. I mean, I don't even like Percocet. It makes me itch and throw up, so I don't even touch Percocet. I've done heroin, I've done everything, but same reaction. And I'm lucky because I'd be long dead if I liked heroin, the fentanyl crisis we got going. I mean, please. And you want to talk about the Asians getting shanghaied up in Portland? We have like a museum about it. They would get shanghaied up here. Yeah. Strange.
No, but when you talk about the addiction, I mean, last month I reread The Man with the Golden Arm by Nelson Algren.
It's a great book.
It is, but that's all about morphine addiction. And I started talking with my wife. It's like, it seems that every generation has its drug addictions that go, I don't know if they go in cycles or they just change. Because you don't hear about morphine addiction anymore.
I think that's because
it's now
more powerful, easily readily available things, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
when I taught high school, parents that would come to open house or talk to parents, because I live in a suburban, relatively affluent community, and parents are convinced that these things, nothing bad. Their kids weren't ever doing anything bad, and the school was safe. And I was like, if you've seen it on TV, it's at this school. Because I promise you, anything you can think of that you see happening in the stories from an inner city high school, it's happening here. It just doesn't happen as often. And people's parents have the money to cover up the collateral damage and the consequences. That's the difference. How did I get on that topic? I don't know.
Oh, we were talking about
the mind goes.
Confessions of an English Open Eater and other.
Who wrote that?
De Quincey.
There you go.
Thomas De Quincey.
Buddy reading Naked Lunch right now, by the way, is why the topic probably came out.
All right. Well, y'all have fun.
I know, it's a trip and a half.
I have no interest in revisiting that.
Not even the movie?
No.
Now, Greg doesn't watch movies.
Oh.
Very rarely. Now, when you're talking about William Burroughs, there was a very good biography of William Burroughs that was an audiobook about 5 or 6 years ago. And it just really sort of delved into what an odd life he had and how, his writing's very strange, but he was very committed to being an author. And he created some interesting works, even though...
Well, I have this William Burroughs reader by his partner, and I haven't read all William Burroughs yet. Not sure I want to, but it's nice to visit. I don't want to live there, but
yeah, Al is going, I do not limit my art. I love me cinema and books. The thing is, like I was saying, my problem with cinema is that it's just so bland nowadays. It's just, I mean,
I hear you.
It's, how do I say it? I sort of pinpoint it when they came out with was it 13 rated MB13? PG-13 ratings. And ever since then, it's like any studio who has a movie they want to make, it's like, well, let's make sure it's PG-13 so the teenagers can go see it.
Yeah, so money.
And that's why I just don't pay much attention anymore, just because it's all it's all like going to like the Barnes and Noble and going to the bestseller list and saying which books are the bestsellers, and that's what you get from cinema for the most part right now.
Too many superhero movies.
Oh,
exactly.
I have the last superhero movie I actually saw on purpose had Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
Oh, yeah, that's actually a good movie.
Batman, yeah.
But
Tim Burton's superhero Batman movies were at least interesting to look at.
They were, and I was on a red-eye flight coming back from Hawaii twice, and the red-eye flights, you're sitting, and the person next to me each time was watching a superhero movie. I didn't hear anything. I was just nodding out in and out of sleep, and I'm going, okay, they're flying around and fighting some sort of giant creature, and
they're all the same. I hate to say this, but every superhero story is essentially the same. Every one of them has a dead relative that warped their life in some kind of way, and they find these magical, mystical, whatever powers, or they're rich enough to buy them, and they go out, fight crime, run into somebody who's slightly more powerful than they are, lose the first round, then miraculously win the second round. That's it. That's every superhero movie right there.
Well, isn't that every superhero comic pretty much?
Yes. At least the comics, though, have the integrity of being, you have to wait, and it's a long story, and there's, I don't know. I just hate. I'm sorry. I went on a rant about superhero movies. My wife is tired of hearing that one.
They're today's Western.
I'm sorry.
Today's Western.
They're not. Yes, you're right, but they're not.
Westerns used to be incredibly popular.
Yes.
Michael K. Vaughan was saying, you go into a bookstore, they would have a Western section, and it'd be filled with lots of books and authors. And nowadays, you go into a bookstore, they don't have a Western section anymore.
Oh.
And it used to be I don't know if it was the most popular genre back in the day.
I don't know. Zane Grey sold a lot of books.
He did sell a lot of books.
Criminelli and I are going to buddy read the complete Western stories of Elmore Leonard.
Oh, that'll be good. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, so I've got a hardbound copy, but buddy, reading with Criminelli, he's gonna read right past me on that. But
that would definitely happen to me.
Might take a month or two.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I know. You put it in perspective. I'm retired. I don't do anything other than read books and loud. And Ollie's pretty much ahead of me in reading. And he has a daytime job, a wife, and a kid.
Yeah. My reading pace is not on the same level as.
We need, here's from Al, we need more avant-garde theater and cinema. It's not all bad, but what they push is just like music and books. Look at the popular shelf. Yeah, I can see that. And MJ, Batman. She likes Batman, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a Batman fan too.
It was a good superhero movie I liked, like Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse or something like that, the animated one. Did you guys see that one?
I have not seen that one.
Okay, that if you're gonna watch a superhero, that was great. It's funny. It's like it looks like they've done it where it looks like a comic book in lots of places. It has like the stippled corners with the black dots and things like that from time to time. It's just really, really great. It's on Into the Spider-Verse.
I remember you talking about that, Brian.
Yeah, that's the last superhero movie I really liked.
Yeah, Stan Getz.
Al's going down to Oh, sorry.
Stan Lee. I'm sorry. Wait,
Stan Lee.
Stan Getz is a jazz drummer. Stan Lee. I'm sorry.
Al's going, this boils down to verbal thinkers versus visual thinkers. About 45% of the people are a blend of the two. About 25% are one or the other. Okay. I'm pretty sure that I'm a verbal thinker, not a visual thinker.
You're missing 5% there.
You're missing out, Greg.
45% are both, 25% are visual, 25% are verbal. That's 95%. What
Maybe
are the other 5%?
Maybe other 5% don't care either way. They don't watch or read anything.
There you go.
They're not illiterate. They're unliterate, like Henry Rollins would say. I'm not illiterate. I'm unliterate. I refuse to read. I refuse.
MJ says DC's better than Marvel.
Yeah, MJ, I know about her. Yep. She's a DC girl.
Hey, Jack's here.
Hey, Jack's here. Yeah, I suspect that the Western's largest share of the market was back when Zane Grey and Bret Hart were tearing up the type. I think that is true. You have to get Michael K. Vaughan, and he would know everything about that.
Yeah.
Al, here's an example. All Quiet on the Western Front. I love some of the movies. The book is fantastic, and it can add the experience, like Fahrenheit 451.
I'm sure it is.
It could be a typo too.
Yeah.
Right. You're typing with your thumbs, and I know.
Oh, he another comment. Yeah. Al's going to read Nietzsche's Zarathustra, but I get that's not for everyone.
I love that book.
Not for me.
You know, there is a brand new translation of Zarathustra that just came out last year.
No kidding.
My interest in philosophy books is about the same as my interest in self-help books.
Oh, yeah.
Non-existent.
Now we have a contention here. Brian
Yes.
and I have a contention with self-help. I like self-help. I love Wayne Dyer. I like Thich Nhat Hanh. Like all the mindfulness and the Buddhist stuff. And I like the Four Agreements. I just eat it up. But, that's me.
Well, it's all right.
You're welcome to all of them.
Yeah. All right, Greg.
Up to me. More questions. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, here's because the new translation is a few years old now. Not bad, but still needs some work. Well, that just goes into the nature of translation. Is that you can never really translate from one language to another. It's just an approximation.
Well, yeah.
I remember I was reading one. It was translated from the Portuguese, and it was telling a story. Husband and a wife, and they've been married like 20 years. And in the footnote, the translator had to put in that they're actually using the formal form of you to each other.
That'd be kind of, yeah. Take you out of the story.
No, but there is no formal you in English.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, sorry.
And so he's trying to say it's like they've been married a long time, but they're still treating each other like total strangers.
God. It sounds like the movie The Field.
That's a good movie.
Remember that movie with Tom Berenger and
oh, wait. I thought it was something about
Richard Harris?
Yeah, Richard Harris. Yeah.
Yeah. And him and his wife, that scene where they're eating, like they're eating their mutton and just looking at each other like, I hate you. I just hate you. It's
Richard Harris was kind of a
we're
bastard in
back
that
to
movie.
marriage again. Back to marriage. Go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Jack has read Wittgenstein's Thractitus last week. It's been more than a decade since I read the Zarathustra. Well,
I'm on like 5.5 decades without reading either one of those.
Yeah, well, Jack is part of the Bernhard reading group, and we're reading Wittgenstein's Nephew.
I'm just giving Jack crap.
And I don't know if either of you have read Thomas Bernhard or not, but it's about. I was not tempted to read Wittgenstein because that would be take an hour, read a page, go back over it, and say how much of that did I not understand? All of it. Yeah, he's not easy. And catch up with the notes. I was going, Nietzsche said 40 things in one sentence. Balzac never openly admits what he really means. Do you agree with that, Brian?
I haven't read Nietzsche, but
No,
sure.
Balzac.
Oh,
Never
Balzac.
Why are you guys calling him Nietzsche when it's Nietzsche?
Sorry, East Texas. I'll take my hillbilly pass things.
Nietzsche? I don't know.
Balzac never openly admits what he really means. Yeah, okay, sure. I don't disagree with that. He just says it beautifully. Vaguely, but beautifully.
All right. Al used to teach it. I guess you're talking Nietzsche or Nietzsche?
If you want to
You live
learn
in Virginia,
something,
you can say Nietzsche.
Nietzsche is a football player. Nietzsche is the writer.
No, that was Nietzsche. Nietzsche was the football player.
Okay. Yeah, you're right again, Brian.
Al's going, I suggest Morton Adler's How to Read for a Reading Group.
Ooh.
Jessica, Greg, I'm almost finished with the book Verity by Colleen Hoover. What the hell? I was not expecting that kind of story. Fabulous, Greg. I love it. That was one of my bad books of the year. Verity.
I've never read a Colleen Hoover.
She's sort of a romance, probably thriller romance.
Yeah. I saw somebody who was doing like a thing about all the books that won what's the online book thing Amazon has? Oh, Zelda, hang on.
Zelda had something to say.
Is that Ike?
All right. I think she stopped now. Every time, if I'm in here, she's going to bark. So I think she was barking at the ghost in the kitchen that time.
Did you say the ghost in the kitchen?
Well, she was looking at the kitchen, and I don't think anybody was in there. So it must have been the ghost.
Now, you're making me think about Faulkner.
All right.
What about Faulkner?
Well, how he used to like to sit on his porch and smoke and talk to ghosts.
Well, he probably also 3/4 away through a fifth of bourbon at the time, so probably saw all kinds of things.
Yeah, but he wrote them down.
Yeah, well, that was one of the remarkable things I think about Faulkner's productivity. He was really prolific. He wrote a lot of books, and he spent a good portion of his time drunk. So really kind of remarkable.
When did his heavy drinking start? Do either of you two know? Was it?
I don't.
Probably in the Army, I think.
He didn't do much in the Army.
Or Air Force, whatever.
Yeah, he tried to go to.
He never saw any kind of
never got overseas.
No.
Yeah.
No, he made that up.
Yeah, he did, and the limp too.
I went too. Yeah, he was kind of like that Santos guy in a way.
Yes, only I don't think Santos is as good a writer. But
Hell no.
All right, so hold on. A sumo announcer said, "Amuse bouche"
Boosh.
means mouth pleasure in English. So a large dude in sumo belt sounds weird. Okay. Let's go down, finish up some comments. Melissa, my bubbles. Well, I haven't said hello to you. I think you're new here. Hello. Welcome to the Monday Night Lives. I finished SPQR. It was all right. That was, I think I have that book on Kindle about the history of Rome. I can't remember if it's one of those histories where you need to be familiar with the Roman history before reading it, because it doesn't help you along with some of the details. Maybe Melissa can fill in on a comment.
I'd like to hear what Melissa has to say, but I read it recently, 2 years ago, and it's not a narrative history of ancient Rome. It focuses kind of more on the end of the Republic and, like you said, details, I guess, that are filled in from that kind of period. I think it ends like right around, I can't remember, maybe Melissa can tell us. I think it ends right around Caesar, Augustus, somewhere around there.
Now I'm gonna buddy read with Micah Cummings. Robert Harris. I think
he has a couple of books about ancient Rome.
I like that one. But we're gonna read the next one or something else.
All right.
Another buddy read coming up.
I have a whole big series written by Colleen McCullough on ancient Rome. I read like the first 4 books out of 7, which are very good history, but I don't know if she's as popular as she used to be.
I've never read her.
MJ saying, "What the Faulkner?" Alan,
Yeah.
you eat Faulkner Fridays.
Yeah.
We could do a Faulkner Friday every month and do like one of his short stories or something. I'm slowly working my way through. I've read it before. His collected short stories, because I think I mentioned I'm trying to read every National Book Award winner in the order that they were published. That was the 1951 National Book Award.
Mm.
I don't know if I would reread the whole book, but I'm going through a lot of his main short stories. So if you ever wanted to do a night doing some short stories, that'd be fun.
Sure. I mean,
I heard about nihilism a couple of years ago, and before I ever read Nietzsche or saw his name in print, and I thought his name was Nietzsche to fit the philosophy.
It's no big deal. You know, it used to be Nietzsche. Now it's Nietzsche. So whatever.
How would a German pronounce it?
Nietzsche.
Nietzsche. Pet peeve: people pronounce French words in English conversation. I'm not even going to try that. Firm tailleux. I don't. As I said, my father was French, and he only taught me one word in French, and that wasn't it.
I've got a brand new spanking copy of AA. Brand new, not marked up, nothing. So it's going to be good to reread this and just brand spanking new.
Mm-hmm. Melissa, I wasn't
Talking
familiar
about-
with. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just reading the next comment. I wasn't familiar with Roman history. It definitely didn't help me along. How to press meaning? Algorithm hard to pass meaning. I was talking about pronouncing foreign words. I laugh about 70% of English is on loan.
I agree.
Oh, did we just lose Brian? I think we just lost Brian.
Yeah, he probably got bored.
Is that you? No, that may be Brian. He may have had a guest come into the room. I hear another voice. Okay.
Or a ghost.
Or a ghost. MJ 12-0 Cowboys. Emerson is great for short stories, essays, pithy, short, easy to read, but profound. I don't know if Emerson ever wrote short stories. I think he's just essays, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, MJ is talking about the Cowboys game, and I'm kind of missing that. So
Yeah.
It'd be a kind of good time to quit. I mean, I'm sorry Brian lost us, and it's like with me. Remember, I lost my battery power, and here he is again.
I think Brian, you cut out. I think your wife came in the room or something.
No, I had to. I'm sorry, I had to go get my cord. My computer was running out of gas.
Oh,
so
exactly.
Jack was saying there's some duds among those National Book Award winners.
Sure, that's
I
true.
think there's going to be duds in any book award series that you go through. But the whole idea was I saw a couple people who read all the Pulitzer Prize winners, and I decided to do a little bit different and not go for the Pulitzer Prize and go for the National Book Award. But you're right. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some duds. But it's interesting because you compare like the first one, which is, like I said, The Man with the Golden Arm, and then compare it to some of the more modern ones. And they're totally different kinds of books. That the whole attitude is shifted over the years. Okay, Absalom. Jim just finished it. I read that in university. It's a pretty. I think it's one of his best novels.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my favorite is Light in August, but
I think
Light in August is more readable.
I think Absalom is like his greatest achievement, but it's definitely not my favorite of his books. I think that's the book that was when I read it or think about it, it just staggers me that he was able to construct the story and have the story revealed the way it was. And as hard as it is to read, and I just can't imagine how he constructed it, thought it all out. I don't know if Faulkner was a planner. Did he have Fitzgerald put everything up on the wall, one of the first people to do that, and connected all his characters and storylines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if Faulkner did anything like that, but it just, I didn't always enjoy reading Absalom, but it is impressive, I think.
Do you have a favorite?
You're talking about a storyboard, like Hollywood.
Right. Yeah. My favorite Faulkner is The Sound of the Fury.
Yep. And I like to call Absalom the sequel. Sound and Fury, because it's about Quentin and Shreve
Right.
and his grandmother and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and the suicide and that.
Right.
Yeah, I just remember Thomas Sutpen is the main part of that book that I remember. I mean, this was the 80s, so obviously I don't remember a whole lot.
Well, the good news is Absalom is our Faulkner and August
It
read
is.
this year.
It is. And the funny thing about that is I was reading a nonfiction book. It was like Flowers of the Killer Moon. And the author had made a comment, and he was like, a character's Thomas Sutpen. And I said, oh, he's the killer. It's like,
Gotta be.
well, yeah. Jack is, what do you think about that, Jim? All right, you're definitely verbal and very literal. Yes, Al? Almost halftime. Definition of an essay. What an essay is, a short story, is funny. Maybe. I mean, you can stretch it if you're Borges, but I think for the most part.
Okay, let's talk about Borges. I am very ignorant about him, and I need to rectify that.
There is a group that's going to be reading Borges in March. That's
great.
Mike Cummings and Novella and their classics. They're doing Borges.
I'm already booked for March.
My March is kind of, I got the recognitions, so that's.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, Jackie said, I enjoyed the National Book Awards a bit more than the Pulitzer. So that's sort of good to know. I know when I was going over the National Book Award list, most of them are still available, remarkably. Only one of them was totally out of print by Barthelme, collection of short stories.
Oh, which one?
I would have to find out what the collection that's out of print now.
Okay.
I don't know. What is that?
Was it City Life? Can you see that? City Life?
No, that's not the one that's out of
60 Stories.
It might. No, hold on. What was what was the one that got the National Book Award? It was early.
Yeah, my 60 Stories, I think, would probably have a sticker if it had been that one.
Yeah. Wait.
My copy of City Life is really
Guilty
old.
Pleasures.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was going to send you one.
You don't have Guilty Pleasures?
I don't have that one, no.
All right. Well, I'll find it sooner or later. All right. Let's go through. Is there anything specifically that you wanted to mention, Brian?
Oh no, I'm just here for the ride. So whatever you guys want to talk about. I got nothing.
How about this?
Oh, please.
I'm getting ready to read that.
All right then.
Okay,
hey,
so
Jack, I read it about the same time. I had like one Christmas break. I read As I Lay Dying and The Sound of the Fury and Absalom over Christmas break one year. I was probably about 20.
So Brian, I have a question. We can talk a little bit about The Passenger. MJ's read it.
Yes, she has.
So let's talk about the character of the kid. Was it what's it called? Formaldehyde?
Thalidomide.
Formaldehyde kid.
Yeah, thalidomide kid. Yeah.
So I was watching some other channel who is saying that he is actually a messenger. And see, that's my interpretation was more he's a folie à deux. You know what that is?
Let's see.
Folie à deux is a shared delusion.
Oh,
He's definitely a delusion. I don't, in the passenger at one point, I think Bobby sees the kid, has a conversation with the kid, but
you see that? See, this is where I think some people really dig the book, because you can imagine a college professor saying, "Is the kid a messenger or is he a shared delusion?" And you can have the classes start gathering together their ideas on why they think he's a delusion or why they think he's a messenger.
yeah, and I'm sure that will happen. I'm sure there's going to be a course at Harvard in a couple of years, late McCarthy novels, and you'll have The Road and No Country for Old Men, or probably most college professors would dismiss that one. But anyway, you'll have these two, and a lot will be, there's a lot there to dissect. And if that's something that you like, these are definitely books for you. Alan, I think, might like them because they're dense with allusions and, references, some self-references and others. And I just didn't think it was enough they were enough novel to them, and not just, McCarthy just, hey, look at this cool thing I learned while I was living at the physics place in Santa Fe. Did you guys know about this? And hey, did you know this guy? And that kind of just drives me crazy. I mean, he doesn't say that, but that's what it feels like is happening.
It does feel like that. It feels like I'm a really smart guy. I know all this, and see if you can decipher everything.
Yeah.
And now it's not as bad as something like the House of Leaves.
Yeah, I haven't read that.
I haven't read that either.
Now, I was in a group last year. I was trying to read it, and the people who read are serious, because apparently, if you look for all the misspelled words in the book, you're going to find a secret message.
Great. Yeah, I'd rather go back to Finnegan's Wake.
And my idea is like, you want me to identify a misspelled word? I'm a terrible speller, so I'm never going to notice that.
I think that stuff is real. If that's your thing, I think if that's somebody's thing, I think that's great. But I am over that for my life. Al and I went back and forth about how I read Ulysses, and the difference between our approaches to it. And mine was, I'm gonna pick up what I'm gonna pick up, and I'm not gonna worry about what I didn't get. And I understand that that's a lot of people want to read it differently. That's just not me. And so I think Ulysses is a far, far better novel than these two McCarthy things. But there's a similarity there where at some point my eyes just glazed over, in the middle of the third conversation about quarks or whatever the hell it is. And I was like, is this contributing anything to the story? Or is this just stuff you're packing in there for the sake of packing stuff in there? So your readers will, spend years trying to figure out what it all is. And I just, at one point in my life, that might have been interesting to me. And now I'm just like,
I think that is the point of The Passenger, is that you're supposed to unpack it.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
It's like a collection of essays that you read through it and you find out.
Some of it's not even it. But there's that whole long conversation about the Kennedy assassination, and there's nothing new in that conversation. Everybody knows that stuff. That's not even like new stuff. It's not even like made up new stuff. It's just the same stuff. What the hell do I care?
And I'm going through is like, okay, is this McCarthy trying to tell people that you're wrong about the Kennedy assassination? Or is he trying to point out that there are people who believed it? And I can't decide which one is, and I'm going like, I just don't care. I mean,
yeah, that was it. At some point, I was just like, all right.
I'm gonna say it's like, I'm an Oswald guy. He shot him. That's it.
Me too.
Bullshit.
Sorry. How many people do we know shot a gun at John F. Kennedy on that day?
And people are not good at keeping secrets.
We know of one person who shot a gun at John F. Kennedy on the day he died, and it was Lee Harvey Oswald.
We do. So show me the evidence.
Me too.
Al was going, so you're all almost exclusively fiction. I read about a third nonfiction. I don't often bring it up, especially like in these live chats, because it's not always as relevant. Like I just finished a nonfiction book about, it's called Buried in the Sky, about a mountain climbing accident on K2. 11 people died climbing a mountain, and the reason it's a decent book, but it's trying to be another Into Thin Air by John Krakauer, which is one of my favorite nonfiction books of all time.
Yeah, I read a lot of nonfiction. I just reviewed Michelle Obama's book, The Light We Carry. I did Cicely Tyson last year. I just read the James Baldwin. This was a great book by David Lemming. He used to be his secretary. So a buddy read this with my Baldwin reading partner, Patrice Jones. And so I read a lot of nonfiction.
I read about a third of what I read is nonfiction.
That's about the same for me.
Yeah. I was a little low this year because that Africa's World War book took up about 2 months of my nonfiction reading. So that took a lot of my brain space.
I got a lot in also because I was a judge for the nonfiction final round in the Book 2 prize.
Yeah, I liked almost none of the nonfiction I read. So I switched to translated fiction for round 2, and I didn't like any of the translated fiction I read either.
Now you see, I did 3 rounds last year. I did translated fiction, and they were all duds. I did 1 round of fiction, and one of the books in there was The Eventual Winner, and I only ranked that around 2. It was good, but it's not. That was Love Songs of W.E.D. Du Bois.
Uh-huh.
Did you read that one?
I did not.
It was fine. It just didn't hit me the way I thought a good novel should. And then in nonfiction, I liked most of the last round of nonfiction. The good one was Empire of Pain, which I thought should have been number 1. And
I can't even remember what I did. 1 nonfiction round. I can't remember what I put number 1, but by number 3, I was down to like a memoir about a lady who had Bell's palsy, I think. And the other 3 I just thought were just terrible. So, and then my translated fiction was even worse. So I'm hoping nonfiction is better. I get groups that are more like what I want to read this year.
I said, I don't know. I volunteered for both. I had a tough time picking them out. Ones that I really, really wanted to read.
Mm-hmm.
I got to mention, like, there were so many memoirs in nonfiction. I'm just like, nope, not going to vote for that one.
Yeah, that's what I did too. I looked them up, and if it was a memoir, unless it was something I really had heard was really good, nope, I'm not voting for a memoir. I'm going to vote for like something else, nature work, history work, biography, something else.
I was the same way. I did a first. Just an impression, because I'm not going to go look up reviews for 70 books.
Yeah, I just looked up to see like a synopsis.
I did
the ones I had questions about, just so I knew if it was a memoir. And as soon as I saw memoir, and if I didn't know what it was, I just said, nah, I'm not going to vote for that.
Yeah, I did. I sort of did a ranking system the same way, like 1 to 5, and then pick the 20 highest ranked ones, and we'll see.
Yeah, I think I just go through the list and I pick. However, if I've heard of a book, I think it's interesting, I just put a check mark by it, and then I go back and count how many I have, and then I just eliminate the ones that I'm least interested in. So until I get to 20,
we'll see.
Yep, that should be soon, actually.
Yeah, on February 1st.
Oh,
15
is that when it
days.
is? I always get lost on that. I wish it would come out a little bit earlier, so you had more time to buy them or to get a copy of them in February. I like to do 3 one month and 3 the next, so that I don't get backed up.
Here's MJ. I don't want the secret message. I'd rather read 5 Passengers than 1 House of Leaves. Passengers has messages. Sorry, MJ. I think it does have messages. Now, maybe because she did the audio book, it wasn't as obvious that he had met messages. But I still have to do. I still have to do Stella Maris this month. Jack. I like the House of Leaves. Yeah, but Jack, did you pick up on all the misspellings? Jack, I was such a frustrated rage. I did not finish, but I was happy. Plus, Ollie was my reading buddy. And I'm sure Ollie read it 5 times as fast as you did, MJ. MJ, right? The Kennedy stuff was out in left field. Totally agree.
And that the Vietnam guy, like the helicopter guy from Vietnam, I'm pretty sure that's in Apocalypse Now. The guy who just like randomly killing people from the helicopter. Sorry, I'm not going to talk about those McCarthy novels ever again. This is the last time.
Jack, McCarthy would give conflicting views on his beliefs of the JFK assassination if he was ever interviewed. He is not a provocateur in the vein of Elroy. I don't remember what Elroy said about. I've read the Elroy books, but I don't remember what he said about them.
James Elroy. Yeah, I like him a lot.
Unless I love nonfiction, especially history. I've never read the awards book, though. Well, you're not missing too much. But we'll see. I still think it's a lot of fun to go through the BookTube prize lists and read through them. Okay.
With big prizes, I usually like the ones that are shortlisted better than the ones that win from the shortlist. Like the shortlist books are usually the ones I'm most interested in. And then the winner's always like, well, I wouldn't have picked that one.
Have you ever read a recent winner of a prize that you really agreed with?
I would have to be able to remember what won. Let's see. I know Louise Erdrich won the Pulitzer for
Night Watchman?
The Night Watchman. I didn't think that was nearly as good as I thought she had much better books than that. What won the Pulitzer this year? I don't think I've read that.
I know the National Book Award was The Rabbit Hutch.
Yeah, I haven't read that.
No.
I don't even remember what won the Booker this year. Gosh. Oh, didn't Anna Burns' Milkman win the women's prize?
Not really.
A couple of years ago.
She could have. I don't pay attention to all the prizes.
I was trying to think. I think she won the Booker version of the women's prize. Oh, and no, I read At Night All Blood is Black, which won the International Booker, not last year, I think, but the year before, and that's just great. That's a great book. And Anna Burns' Milkman, whether it won or not, also a great book. So,
yes, I read the All Blood is Black, and I liked it, but I did not love it the way some people really loved it.
I just thought it just really kind of extraordinary in its images and everything like that. So, gosh, Zelda.
I loved Milkman, the Anna Burns.
Yes. Let's see. Did she win?
Yeah, I reviewed that, when it came out, and everybody was talking about it, and I read that, and I listened to the audio of it. Blew Me Away,
Yeah.
Milkman's The Shite, you know.
No, Milkman actually just won the Booker Prize in 2018. So
Okay.
that would be a prize winner, another prize winner I really liked.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, it seems. I can't believe it's been that long, but you know, I'm
Me
old,
neither,
so
Brian.
time goes a lot faster.
Can't believe it's like 5 years ago. 18.
I know.
I have that book on my Kindle, but I've never gotten around to reading it yet.
Is there anything else?
Well, it's an Irish novel. You know, you have to kind of be into the Irish thing, and it's good. There's a spoiler alert in it. You know, I'm not going to tell you the spoiler, but she is a powerful Irish woman. Indeed.
Oh, now I'm thinking of all kinds of prize books I liked. I just finished A Visit from the Goon Squad in December. I think that won a Pulitzer, and that was great. What else? Let's see. I read The Corrections back in the day when it came out.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good.
Brazen. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. There was one more I was going to mention. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, so yeah, sometimes it just feels like that. Even if I think that was the best book, I might have thought like a different one was a little more interesting. If that makes sense, I'm not sure it does, but it's getting to be my bedtime. So
Yeah, we're been on for a while, so getting ready to wrap up. I know Jack was going. The helicopter guy in McCarthy sounds like the character in Full Metal Jacket.
That's it. Yes, Full Metal Jacket, not Apocalypse Now. Thank you, Jack. That's exactly right. The guy who's like, get some, and he's like shooting the guy with the cows and the guy with the on the rice paddy.
Has anyone read the novel that was based on?
Nope, I have not.
It's completely out of print.
Huh.
And I actually have a ebook version, which the author's site made available for a while. I haven't read it, but the interesting story is why it went out of print. Is the author refused to have his book retitled to Full Metal Jacket.
Oh.
And I can't remember what I can't remember what the title was. But he didn't want it retitled, so they just said, "All right, we'll take it out of print."
That's a mistake.
I don't think he lived much longer after that.
You got to be willing to compromise your artistic principles when you got a payday like that looking at you.
Yeah. Hey, Noah. Hello.
Noah.
Welcome, Noah. Noah says, this is the year for Miss McIntosh. When are you going to do Miss McIntosh? I have to do that book someday. Have any of you read that? Miss McIntosh, My Darling?
No, I've heard about it from Noah and other people too. It's only like 2,000 pages long. I
think it's the longest book written by a woman, considered like a literary book. I think.
Yeah.
It's.
I want to say hi to Noah. Hi, Noah. I miss you, man.
Where's my copy of Miss McIntosh?
I almost went to visit Noah when I was in Georgia, but COVID hit and it got all effed up. And yeah, I'm sorry about that. But I almost went to visit Noah in Atlanta.
1,198 pages of tiny, tiny print. I don't know if I can read it. I mean, just my eyesight would not.
Is it supposed to be good or is it just long?
It's supposed to be good, but as I remember, it's a story of a woman who gets on a bus. She visit her childhood nanny, and it's all her thoughts as she's on the bus, traveling these 8 hours or something.
I see. I'm a definite no.
You're a definite.
1,000-page
Me
books,
too.
I think, are a thing of my past for the most part. But I can't remember how long the Count of Monte Cristo is. That's my March mammoth this year.
Yeah.
Oh man, great book. Great book.
If Noah's here, I have to leave and keep pretending we're on the same account. Noah's, I love his channel. I don't see as many videos by him as I used to. I don't know. I know he's working as a computer programmer, I thought.
Noah, last time
think-
I heard he worked for Atlanta, like City and Streets. He's a construction guy. He's
I think he's
out there.
he was working with carpentry and then something. He'd have to fill us in.
Yeah, I have to reconnect with Noah. Put it that
Mhm.
way. Yeah, I need to reconnect with him, man.
I found a copy at $8 last fall. I'm reading it to you this year. I presume Miss McIntosh, my darling. I actually have another mass market paperback of that book that I found for $2 at a store. And I bought it just because it's $2. But that was before my book buying ban.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
First-
go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just reading Jack's comment. I was going to say that's because you're a good-hearted person, Jack, not like me. Not a cynical old crusty old bastard like me. You're a nice person. That's why
Yeah.
you like
Yeah,
most of what you read.
Brian, you're like what, 55?
Yes.
Okay, F you. I'm 59, man. I'm the oldest one here.
Isn't age like more about how you feel than what is that stupid saying that doesn't make any sense?
Kids. I mean, I say I'm 59 going on 15. But
I would not want to be 15. I'll take 35 again, though.
35 would
yeah.
not be too bad. But I'd want my
Actually-
income that I had when I was in my later years.
If I was 35, I'd have to work, so I'm not going back. I'll go back 3 years.
On when I was 35. Please. Oh, man. I was in grad school.
Bye, Jack.
Bye, Jack.
Yeah, I've gotten very adapted to the non-working life.
Yeah.
It'd be very, very tough to go back to a daily work schedule and have the boss look at me and says, I know you've already worked 8 hours, but we need this project done and it's only going to take you 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, Brian. You were a school teacher. I don't know if they did stuff like that to school teachers. Where
let's see, I had to build homecoming floats.
Oh,
I had to chaperone proms and dances, and let's see, what else did I have to do?
Well, that's all overtime. That's overtime.
They don't pay you for it.
Oh,
they don't.
No,
Yeah,
it's like
I
it's
know.
in your contract. They called it. It's under your contract. It's called "and other duties as assigned by the principal." That's what it's called.
wow. And your wife's a principal too, so
Yes, but she was at a middle school, elementary school. They didn't have as many extracurricular things.
but it's
So-
all in good fun.
No, there's nothing fun about any of those things I mentioned. There's
A
not.
parade float?
Building a parade float. So let me tell you this story. Sorry, here's an old man. I'm telling you a story. So one year, the group of kids I was supposed to make this parade float with for homecoming, they were just like the worst kids, and they didn't do anything to help get it ready. So it was coming homecoming parade, and we didn't have a float. Like literally, the junior class did not have a float. And I was like, they're going to fire me because I didn't make this float. I was still like about 8 years teaching. And it came a colossal storm on the day of the parade. I mean, it rained so hard, the streets were flooding, and they canceled the parade. So I got out of having not built a homecoming float because it rained so hard they canceled the parade.
I would love to help build a float. See,
Go.
I'm
You're crazy. That's all right.
I
though.
would be there. I would be there for you.
I would not be there at all.
It was not, and oh,
Arts
my God.
and
Oh, graduation, had to
crafts.
work graduations and like, oh my goodness. Ugh.
Well, it's when you're working like a programmer, you consider what's on salary. So some weeks you do 40 hours. Some weeks you can get by with 38 or 36, and then some weeks you have to do 50.
Yeah.
It's totally insane.
Yep.
Full Metal
Jacket was called
story, Brian.
Full Metal Jacket was called the Short Timers.
Short Timers, that's right. It's, as I said, I have the ebook version, and I've been meaning to read it forever. All right. We've been on this for an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We still got some.
I need to get back to football.
We still got some people in the section down here. If they have any questions for us, give them a minute or two to drop in some questions. And other than that, we get ready to call it a night in a few minutes because been on here a long time.
It was a pleasure.
It was. As I said, This is our second time with having a guest, and it's kind of fun to have guests on a live stream.
Yeah,
so
thank you guys.
If we have anyone in the comments who wants to be a guest, go ahead and leave a comment and we can work you into our schedule.
I've already got them booked, Greg. We
You
have
already got them booked.
England time. I have a lot of friends in England, so they want to be on the show. But we have to coordinate that. So I'm thinking maybe Una next.
Okay.
From Codex Cantina. And I've got my ideas going on.
All right. I reached out to some of my contacts in my 500 book band, and none of them wanted to do it.
Can't blame them. It's hard coming into the belly of the beast like this. So I appreciate you, Brian.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for
doing
having me.
this.
We really do appreciate that. It's good to have some more input.
Oh, it was fun.
Well, thank you.
Okay, well, I don't see any more comments coming through. So I'm going to say let's call it a night. And goodbye, everyone. Until
All right, man.
next week. Thanks for dropping by, everyone. Good night.